Polyurethane and polyurea chemical systems are in use today all over the world. There are a variety of industries that spray and pour these materials. Since 1959, Glas-Craft, an ISO 9001 certified company, has specialized in designing and manufacturing dispensing equipment for metering, mixing, and dispensing fluorocomponent chemical systems. These chemical systems require precise pressure, temperature, and mixing to maximize their performance and minimize their waste. The Glas-Craft Probler Gun was engineered for these demanding applications and has become the industry standard dispense gun. Whether spray or pour, in plant or on roof, the Probler Gun stands up to its reputation of performance and reliability on a daily basis. This technical video will cover the operation and maintenance of the Glas-Craft Probler Gun. When servicing the Probler Gun, you may need a 3/16" ball driver, a 5/16" wrench, a pin vise with proper size drill bits for cleaning, as well as additional common tools. During the video, gun parts will be discussed by name. For the proper part numbers, refer to the Probler User Manual or the Probler Gun and Foam Systems Basic Troubleshooting Guide. Safety is a very important part of using and working on the Probler Gun. Glas-Craft recommends you read and refer to the user manual prior to operating or servicing the Probler Gun. Caution and warning notes are printed in bold type and should be understood and followed. The Probler Gun is the heart of the Glas-Craft system. This is where the A and B materials meet and mix under precise heat and pressure. The Probler uses high-pressure impingement to give the most complete mix of the A and B materials. The mixing chamber determines if the gun will spray or pour. The same Probler gun will dispense a round spray pattern, a flat spray pattern, or will pour. The Probler is an air trigger dispense gun for spraying and pouring two-component polyurethane and polyurea systems. The Probler gun requires 90 to 100 psi of air pressure for two purposes: triggering and purge cleaning. The trigger assembly directs airflow in the gun to the front or back of the piston assembly. The mixing chamber is attached to the air piston. In the forward position, the mixing chamber is sealed off from material flow. When the air piston is retracted, the chamber aligns with the material ports, allowing the A and B materials to flow and mix. The Probler is an air-purged gun. It uses air pressure to clean the mixing chamber. When the trigger is released, an immediate burst of air pressure cleans the mix chamber and dispense nozzle. This keeps the impingement area clean and allows for long periods of trouble-free operation. Solvent flushing is not required. The Probler air purge eliminates the need for hazardous solvent flushing of the gun. When servicing or operating the Probler gun, proper safety apparel should always be worn. This includes proper clothing, respiratory and eye protection. Material is under pressure and can cause injury. If you have questions, call your authorized distributor or Glas-Craft for assistance. Always consult the MSDS sheets for the materials you are using. The Probler is a simple and reliable gun. There are a few important points to know about the Probler gun. When not in use, the material valve should always be in the off position. The high-pressure ball valve should only be in the on position when material is being dispensed. Do not soak the gun body in solvent when assembled. The Probler gun contains several seals and O-rings that can be damaged by the solvents. If the gun parts require soaking, disassemble the gun and soak the parts separately. Probler gun seal and valve integrity tests should be performed as standard maintenance of the Probler gun. The frequency will be determined by the materials used, the volume of materials processed, and other conditions. Glas-Craft recommends performing the seal and valve integrity tests at the end of each day before system shutdown, or at any time the gun does not appear to seal properly. Caution should always be exercised when performing gun maintenance. Always observe the nozzle from the side of the gun. Never look down the nozzle barrel when the Probler gun is attached to the system. Side block seal test and ball valve test should be performed with the system set at normal operating settings. To test the side block seals, the following steps should be followed. Turn A and B material valves off. Turn the B valve on. Observe nozzle for mist. Turn B valve off. Turn A valve on. Observe nozzle for mist. Turn A valve off. If material is observed on the A side, the seal will need to be inspected and replaced if necessary. The mixing chamber should also be checked for scratches. These maintenance steps will be shown in detail later in this video. The same procedure should be used to test the B-side seal. To test the high-pressure ball valves, the following steps should be followed. Turn A and B material valves to the off position. Point the gun at a shop towel or rag. Trigger the gun 4 or 5 times. Pull the trigger and hold the trigger open for 20 seconds. Release trigger and observe the nozzle for material. If no material is observed, the ball valves are sealing properly. If material is purged out of the nozzle, this indicates that a ball valve packing is loose and needs to be tightened. Look at the towel to determine if the A or B material valve is leaking. The appropriate valve packing will need to be tightened. To tighten the valve packing, loosen the Allen set screw in the valve handle with the 5/64" Allen wrench. Remove the handle by pulling up. Using a 5/16" wrench on the exposed flats, snug down the packings gently. Replace the handle, tighten the set screw securely, and repeat the ball valve test. It is important to have a dry air supply for the Probler gun. Many air compressors build up condensation or moisture in certain ambient conditions. This condensation can build up and blow out of the gun nozzle, resembling a material leak. If condensation is observed during seal and valve testing, an air dryer should be used between the air supply and the inbound air fitting on the system. When the Probler gun seal integrity test shows that the seals are leaking, it must be determined where the leak originates before returning the gun to normal operation. There are 4 places where a leak in the Probler gun can originate: the side block seal, the mixing chamber surface, the side block seal housing, or the check valve ball seat. The first inspection point is the side block seal surface. They are the main wear part or soft part in the gun and are the most likely place that material will leak. Before removing the side blocks, make sure the ball valves are in the off position. Using a 3/16" ball driver, remove the Allen bolts from the side blocks and pull the side blocks away from the gun body. This will expose the seal surface for inspection. If the seal is scratched or damaged, it should be replaced with a new seal. Seals with 2 different wear patterns are shown here. The first shows normal wear from sealing in a high-pressure abrasive environment. The second shows a more uniform scratching across the surface. A raised lip or burr on the mixing chamber causes this. In the second situation, the chamber should be dressed before reassembling the gun. Chamber dressing will be covered later in the video. The mixing chamber surface is the next place to inspect. The side block seal seats against the flat mixing chamber surface. Rinse with a suitable solvent and visually inspect the mixing chamber surface for scratches. Inspect the side ports of the mixing chamber for material buildup, a raised burr or lip. If material buildup is observed, remove the front housing and clean thoroughly before reassembling. To remove the front housing, remove the 2 Allen bolts holding the front housing to the gun body. If the chamber is scratched or a burr is observed, the chamber must be properly dressed or resurfaced before continuing operation. A more complete inspection of the mixing chamber is shown in the inspecting and dressing the mixing chamber portion of this video. To continue the inspection, remove the side block seal housing from the side block. Remove the check valve from the side block, rinse with a suitable solvent, and check for cracks. The check valve ball seat can become cracked if the side block seal housing is excessively tightened when the gun is reassembled. This will cause material to leak between the threads of the side block seal housing and the side block body. If the valve body shows cracks or damage, it must be replaced. Inspect the ball, spring, and seat for debris. Replace any damaged parts. To continue the inspection, clean the side block seal housing with appropriate solvent and push the seal out of the housing. Inspect the inside surface of the housing for scratches or material buildup. If the inside surface of the housing is scratched, it must be replaced. The inside of the seal housing is factory honed to a precise tolerance. This is a high-pressure sealing surface. If it is scratched, it will not seal under pressure. Scratches here are most likely from cleaning with a sharp object. Buildup can also accumulate on this inside diameter surface where the seal seats. If there is material buildup, it must be removed before replacing the seal. This can cause the seal to seat improperly, with poor seal compression against the mixing chamber surface. Carefully clean this area and replace the seal. Be careful not to scratch the inside of the housing. If it is scratched, it must be replaced. If the buildup is excessive, consider soaking the housing in a suitable cleaning solution before cleaning. The same steps are followed to inspect the other material valve assembly. Prior to replacement of the seals and reassembly of the gun, make sure all threads are clean and lubricated with white lithium grease. Insert a new seal into the housing, making sure it seats firmly against the shoulder of the seal housing. The seal should project slightly beyond the housing surface. Place the seal compression spring and check valve assembly into the side block seal housing. Install the side block seal housing with new side block seal and check valve assembly into the side block body. This housing should be tightened to a snug fit. Do not over-tighten. The seal housing seats against the shoulder of the check valve ball seat. If the seal housing is tightened down too far, it will crack the check valve ball seat, causing a material leak between the threads of the side block seal housing and the side block body. Replace the front housing. Assemble side blocks into the front housing. Tighten the Allen bolts securely. Removing the mixing chamber for service or replacement is a simple task. Make certain that the material valves are in the off position. Using a 3/16" ball driver, remove both side blocks. Next, remove the two Allen bolts holding the front housing onto the gun body. The housing should slide forward away from the gun body, exposing the piston rod and mixing chamber. Place a dental pick or small metal rod through the hole in the piston rod to remove the mixing chamber. Holding the piston rod in place, turn the mixing chamber counterclockwise. A threaded rod connects the mixing chamber and the piston. Reattach new mixing chamber to the piston rod and hand tighten firmly. Make sure that the air cap seal is in place and has no scratches. If the new chamber has a different outside diameter nozzle, be sure to use the proper size air cap. The mixing chambers can become scratched or burred during normal service. When inspecting the chamber, run a fingernail across the impingement ports. If you feel a raised burr, it must be sanded down or addressed before continued operation. Many times the chamber can be redressed for use. To redress a mixing chamber, place a piece of 1500 grit waterproof sandpaper on a solid flat surface. Apply a few drops of a light general purpose oil on the sandpaper. Sand the mixing chamber until the burr or lip is clean. Add clean oil as necessary. Using proper size drill bits, clean and inspect the chamber after the burr or lip has been removed. A filter screen is located in the A-side block of the Probler gun. This helps prevent isocyanate crystals from plugging the mixing chamber. Glas-Craft recommends that the filter be inspected and cleaned on a daily basis. If it is not kept clean, it can cause a flow restriction on the A-side. This can lead to pressures that are off balance and off the material ratio. To inspect and clean the A-side filter, turn the material's ball valves in the off position. Remove the side block. Using a 13/16" wrench, remove the filter screen assembly in the A-side gun block, ISO side, by turning counterclockwise. Clean the screen if needed with suitable solution and brush. Inspect the screen and sealing O-ring. Replace if any damage or wear is apparent. Reinstall the O-ring, screen, and clip. Apply lithium grease to the O-ring and threads. Reassemble and thread back into the side block. Tighten securely. The Probler gun is set up at the Glas-Craft factory and is ready for use. The air piston assembly is well lubricated when it leaves Glas-Craft. After an extended period of use, the air piston may require inspection and lubrication. The side blocks, front housing, and mixing chamber must be removed as previously shown in order to service the air piston. Turn the materials ball valves in the off position. Disconnect the main air source from the gun. Remove the side blocks, front housing, and mixing chamber. The air piston can now be removed and inspected. Using a 5/8" wrench, remove the air piston cap from the back of the gun. Remove the return spring. The piston should be pulled straight out of the back of the gun body. Clean and inspect the O-rings for wear and/or nicks. Replace any worn or damaged O-rings. Lubricate the O-rings and inside of the gun body generously with white lithium grease. Reinstall the piston assembly and return spring. Replace the air piston cap and tighten securely. Piston throw refers to how far back in the gun body the piston is allowed to travel. This determines whether the impingement holes in the mixing chamber will line up with the through ports in the side block seals. The piston throw is factory set, but may require adjustment in the field over time. To check if the piston is out of adjustment, turn the materials ball valves to the off position. Remove the side blocks and B-side seal housing. Remove one of the side block seal housings and rinse with suitable solution. Replace the seal housing in the front housing of the gun. Trigger the gun and look at the front housing from the other side. The hole in the mix chamber should line up with the center of the through port in the side block seal. This is roughly on center with the 3 holes in the front housing. If the through port is visible, the piston throw does not require adjustment. If the through port in the side block seal is not visible, the piston throw must be adjusted. To adjust the piston throw, using a 7/32" Allen wrench, remove the rear cover screw from the air piston cap to access the adjustment set screw. Use a 3/16" Allen wrench to remove the adjustment set screw. Apply blue Loctite or similar semi-permanent thread sealer to the threads and reinstall the set screw. Recheck the alignment by triggering the gun until the mix chamber and side block seal through port are on center. When the piston throw is properly adjusted, replace the rear cover screw. Reassemble the Probler gun. Do not put the Probler gun back into service until the thread sealer cures completely. The piston throw can be adjusted without air pressure to the gun. Remove the rear cover screw, air piston cap, and return spring. Reassemble the gun without the spring. The air piston can now be moved manually to the trigger on position, and the adjustment set screw with Loctite applied can be adjusted. Recheck the alignment of the mixing chamber and side block seal through the side port. Replace the return spring and air piston cap when the piston throw is properly set. Allow the thread sealer to cure completely. The trigger assembly is factory set. Do not access the trigger assembly unless it is necessary. To access the trigger assembly, remove the air piston cap. Use a 1/16" Allen wrench to loosen the Allen set screw on the trigger button. Remove the trigger button from the front of the trigger piston. Use a 3/8" wrench to remove the trigger adjustment nut from the back of the gun body. Remove the trigger piston and spring from the gun body. Inspect the 3 O-rings for wear and/or nicks. Replace any worn or damaged O-rings. Apply white lithium grease to the O-rings and replace the trigger piston assembly. Reinstall the trigger button, the spring, and the trigger adjustment nut. About 2 threads of the adjustment nut should be showing. If the trigger nut is adjusted out too far, it will not allow the return spring to shuttle the trigger spool to its normally closed position. If the trigger nut is adjusted in too far, the gun will not trigger properly. daily startup of the Probler gun should be as follows. Unwind the material hose. If you are using a nitrogen blanket, check for correct pressure. If you are using an air dryer, make certain it is clean and dry. Check all lube reservoirs or felt wiper assemblies. They should be clean and the reservoir should have clean lube in place. Check the material screen in the gun. Pressurize the material transfer system. Adjust main air regulator pressure to the desired setting, approximately 60 to 100 psi. Turn on the main power, primary and hose heater circuit breakers, and make appropriate settings. Open air slide valve on Probler gun. This will purge out grease from shutdown. Open both material shutoff valves on the Probler gun. A light coat of lubricant on the gun will help prevent overspray buildup. The gun and system are now ready for operation. Daily shutdown of the Probler gun should be performed as follows. Perform a side block seal integrity test on the gun. Place ball valves in the open position. Open the slide air valve and check if any material is purged out. If so, the side block seals need to be replaced. Next, the high-pressure ball valve should be tested. Turn off the material valves and trigger the gun several times. Turn off the air slide valve for 20 to 30 seconds. Now turn on the air slide valve and trigger the gun several times, checking for leaks. If any leaks are detected, correct at once. Turn all circuit breakers to the off position. Turn main air supply off. Apply nitrogen blanket to drums of material. Close the material ball valves. Remove the side blocks from the Probler gun and inspect the seals for nicks or scratches. Replace if questionable. Pat the head and side ports of the gun with generous amounts of high-quality lithium or lubriplate. Then reconnect the side blocks. MR515 aerosol is also acceptable for this operation. Understanding the working components of the Glas-Craft Probler gun will assist in the daily operation and make routine service and maintenance easier to perform. Contact your local Glas-Craft distributor or Glas-Craft's technical service department with any questions on operating or servicing your Glas-Craft equipment. This video, used in conjunction with the component user manual, along with the assistance and support of your local Glas-Craft distributor, will provide for an efficient, reliable operation. Glas-Craft, spray and pour systems for polyurethane, polyureas and coatings, systems for polyester gel coating, spray-up, resin transfer molding. Glas-Craft, specialized dispensing equipment and technology. Glas-Craft, there is a difference.